3. We're live, Mr. Wade. Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizeans Affairs Show number 176 for Friday, 2nd of August, 2024. We're glad to have you tuning in with us again for another, hopefully, wonderful show tonight. Being the constitutional Friday night show, I'll be your chairman for tonight. My name is Leonard Brackett. And then we also have on board with us right now Mr. Roody Wade, our next panelist. And hopefully we may have our other panelists, Mr. Gregory Brackett, and our special panelist, Miss Pitts, Miss Sharon Pitts. Uh, we don't want to delay the program any longer, so we'll just move into the formalities of the first part of the program. As you always know, we say a little prayer before we start, and then we do a little reading, and then we get into business. Thank you very much, and I'll just bow my head for a second and do a short prayer. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking thee that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude, first and foremost for having given us the privilege of life and the opportunity to be among our family members, friends, and loved ones today, as well as we thank thee for the opportunity to come and participate on this program. And hopefully we will do some good that accrues to the well-being and benefit for people and country of Belize. You know us our heart, our desires, even our most secret thoughts coming forth. Please continue to bless our family members, friends, and loved ones. Bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. Bless this country of the United States, its people and its leadership. Please bless the rest of humanity looking forward. You know us travails, trials, and tribulations that we're all undergoing, each and every one of us. But because of thy mercy, we can rest assured that in many instances we are delivered from our worst travails, and sometimes we're given second opportunities. Please help our people in Belize. You know our needs, whether it be material needs, spiritual needs, educational needs, financial needs, whatever those needs are, Heavenly Father, please help our people and country of Belize. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. I yield back to Mr. Wade. Could you please grace us with the reading for tonight? Mr. Wade?
Thank you. A little low there, Leonard, but thank you. Thank
Mr.
you, Leonard, for that prayer.
Are you hearing me now a
And
little better?
a little bit,
Am I coming across any better now?
little bit, yeah, a little bit, yes, little bit getting there. It's much better. Thank you, Leonard, for that warm prayer.
Yes,
And like you say, um, of formality of our show, and I want to welcome again to our listening public, both at home and abroad, to our 176th edition of our Belizean Affairs show. And hopefully tonight we'll bring some very important information, to the general public who listen to us, tune in to us. The chairman tonight, Friday night, Mr. Leonard Brackett, has a very good lineup for your take tonight, in terms of the Constitution. So bear with us and enjoy the show. I hope you will take away something after we had finished. And on that note, Mr. Chairman, uh, I will um, I will do my reading from Matthew chapter 5, 1 to 10.
thank you, sir.
It says, seeing the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and when he sat down, his disciples came to him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for there is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are blessed are those who hunger for and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for there is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. That's my reading from Matthew 1 to chapter 5, 1 to 10.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade.
To you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir,
Thank
for
you.
reading. Uh, I just want to take one more second here to finish up one other item here quickly. Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you. Uh, okay. Um, for tonight, we're going to deal with some constitutional matters and some political issues as well. To start with, though, I would like to take the privilege to read a part of our Constitution, and I'm just trying to pull it up here quickly. Trying to pull up my electronic copy of the Constitution so I can. Okay, got it. I'd like to read from the Constitution of Belize, Part 1. Oops. Part 1, Section 2, Subsection 1. And it reads as follows. This Constitution is the supreme law of Belize, and if any other law is inconsistent with this Constitution, that other law shall, to the extent of its inconsistency, be void. We have been reading the Constitution of Belize on this particular platform literally dozens and dozens and dozens of times, various parts, various sections, on various topics. We have not covered the whole thing, but we have a need to keep going and trying to contextualize the parts that we do read in regards to the issues of the day or governance practices and malpractices at that. Because Were it not because of the malpractices and the offending of our government, whether under the UDP or under the PUP, then we would have no need for us to be interjecting and trying to educate the public on these issues so voraciously, so often. Why? Because then we would have a government that would be comporting itself according to their sworn oath. That is, to abide by the Constitution of Belize, to create policies and advocate and implement policies of state that accrue to the well-being and best interests of the country as a whole and the people in particular. My reason for taking up this section of the Constitution again today is because our governance powers are in the hands of people who seem to have no regards, no respect, no consideration for our Constitution, our people, and I may say, sometimes it seems to me like they don't have any respect for themselves. Because if they were to have respect for themselves, they wouldn't bastardize our Constitution. They wouldn't use the powers that we invest in them to relate to us as the general populace of the country with disdain, disrespect, and dismissiveness. They would do the job that they were hired to do. As a matter of fact, more than just hired, they volunteered to do the job. Yes, they are being paid, but it's not like somebody went and took them in chains and shackles and enslaving them to the Constitution and to the will of the people. No, that was a voluntary undertaking on their part. As a matter of fact, they spent big money to bamboozle the people and to break the Constitution by paying people for votes, which is illegal again, by the way, providing food and drinks and liquor and party. Why? They know that's how we roll. Belizeans, as a majority, seem to appreciate the type of governance that we are getting. And as a result, then, we don't allow our patriotism to rule the day. We allow our fidelity and our party interests to rule the day. So we go and vote these people in office over and over and over, and they keep doing us the same thing over and over and over. And they seem to believe that we must be like it, which is why we keep voting them back in office. Of course, there's only two mass parties in the country, and by virtue of how our political system is set up, one of them is likely to be the victor at most instances when we have elections, because we don't have any third party or fourth party or fifth party. We don't have any other alternatives available to us. So they know what time it is, they know how we roll, and they treat us the way they think that we are satisfied to be treated. And we on this particular platform now have been complaining ad nauseum. As a matter of fact, we complain so much that some people say all we do is just talk and talk and talk and complain and complain and complain. We shouldn't have to be talking and complaining if the people who are empowered to do right by us would be doing what's right. But constitutionally, morally, ethically, and as a matter of self-preservation, we have to be crying out on behalf of ourselves and on behalf of others. When the very powers that's supposed to work on our behalf is turned against us and is used against us, or rights are being derogated, those rights are being turned over to new people with the new identity that they claim that we should be falling in line with. That is to say, the existing or previous Belizean identity is not good enough for those who wield the power. So they want us to accept a different identity. Not only do they want us to accept a different identity, they also want us to accept a different constitution. Why? Because the present constitution under which they are governing us is hamstrunging them, getting into their way, and stopping them from doing some of the other things that they would like to do. So while they violate the constitution right, left, and center, they still have an urge to get rid of it altogether. Most of the policies of state under this present government have been exercised without due credit, without due concern, and without legitimate constitutional rights. They make bogus SOEs. They know the SOEs are bogus, but they still go ahead and make it. Why? They don't expect nobody to stop them from doing what they want to do. And if anybody wants to stop them, go ahead and try. Because they will not yield, and they'll hide behind the powers of governance and victimize you. In fact, because we speak up on some of these issues, they're hell-bent out of shape to try and get us to cease and desist our advocacy and to stop speak to the issues and stop complaining. As a matter of fact, they went to the legislature on more than one occasion and made laws to try and violate our constitutionally imbued rights to speak to each other and to speak to them when they are falling short. I don't think they have any problem for us to speak to each other, even when we're speaking about them. They have a problem when they feel offended, that people get to know what they're doing and people are demanding for them to have redress. Of course, they're saying, well, the people that are demanding to have redress is not the ones that vote them into office. And as the Prime Minister himself said, he don't care what anybody say. As long as he thinks it's all right, he's going to go ahead and do what he needs to do. Very dismissive. Can we point out to him that what he's doing in some instances amount to constitutional breach? But he don't want to hear it because, like I said, he has no regards for our current constitution. And he's hoping that the PCC that he put in place will deliver to him some justifiable reason to go ahead and make major changes to our constitution, and or if not, eviscerate it altogether and come up with a new one. Where is the education campaign as of today, day that we're having this discussion? For months we haven't heard anything about them. We haven't seen any actions on their part to further try and educate the people about the constitution of the country. Yet, the Prime Minister is saying because he have a PCC in motion, and the Attorney General is saying because they have a PCC in motion, they have to defer to that PCC in order to do what's right for the people and country. Why don't they defer to the PCC as well and don't go to the House and keep borrowing all this money? Every time they go to the House is to borrow money. As of today that we are talking, for this year alone, they borrowed over $700 something million in less than a year. And by the time the year is up, they're going to come back again for another supplemental. Because like I said before the budget was read earlier this year, before April, I said to the general public on this very same platform that the government budget was not going to make do in terms of achieving what they want to achieve and need to achieve with the size of the budget that they had put together and the way they had put it together. And despite the fact that we had a new budget with new cash flow, they still went ahead and borrowed $700 million and are looking to go and borrow more again before the year is up. What is wrong with our government? It's not like they have to borrow those money to make up the difference of the budget, because when the budget was read, the things that they needed to finance was already included in the budget. And the things for which they are borrowing these extra money now has nothing to do with the consolidated fund, in which most of the taxes and other money that the government collects is put. These are all special projects and special purposes. But going back to the issue of the Constitution itself and the PCC, there's an agenda afoot to collect whatever information the PCC has available to it, so that the Prime Minister could then take that and say, well, that's what the PCC presented to him, and he's going to move forward. Has he provided any extra money for the PCC to do their work? Because from what I'm understanding is that the PCC is not being financed anymore the way it used to be financed when they were doing their campaigns. So who is going to finish up the campaign if that ever is going to complete? We're trying to do our little part on this particular platform. They're spending millions and millions of dollars on that project. And they're not as consistent as us on this platform in terms of trying to educate the people about the constitution of the country and how their constitution applies to their daily lives, and the travesties that the government is carrying on with, the violations that they're carrying on with. They go to the House and then they make bogus laws and then turn around and victimize people with it. And they use the laws to target just who they want. Let's look at that situation that happened in Orange Walk the other day. The last law that they made in the House about when the minister got up and said that they wanted to strengthen the law so that at least the civil servants then can have better protection, and that they want to turn a common assault into a more serious offense. So then if Mr. Budna had assaulted that doctor, you know what kind of hell he would have been in, right?
Amen to that.
Forthwith, that new law would have been applied to him, and they would have said the law is in place and he has to suffer the consequences of that law that is in place, regardless of the fact that the law is unconstitutional at that. That wouldn't be their take. They would just hide behind the law, victimize the man, and put on through the ringers. But whenever he hit he wasn't the offender. The offender was the other gentleman that hit him. So because he was a doctor or some employee at the facility there, he could hit somebody and then turn around and will collect the same person when he hit and put on a jail because he got hit. But then I put the one who do the hitting in the jail. Oh no, he's an exception to the law. Right in front of the police officer, in the presence of the police officer, who should have right there and then put the man under arrest and start the process to make he get put through the ringers for breaching the peace. But you know, hear nothing about that. Then gone and they arrest the gentleman, Mr. Budna, and that's another trumped up charge. Why? Because they never want to afford him the privilege to file a claim against that guy for assaulting him. And I know if as of today date that we are having this discussion, if they have accepted any report from Mr. Budna. So the next thing you hear, oh, Mr. Budna never make no report, so they can't do nothing. Like we happened with the man with the key. So these guys play fast and loose with our constitution, with the other laws, which the constitution says are, to the degree that they are offending, that they are null and void. I just read it for you just now from the constitution. So for all intents and purposes, our country is being run currently in a dictatorial form, not according to our constitution. I'll turn over to you for a comment, Mr. Will.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
Now, these are the ills of our country. You know, past and present government, bastardize our constitution to suit themselves. We see we've been talking for over a year now about the bogus state of emergencies that they are imposing on the Belizean people. Well, not the whole country. Only certain sector of this country is being put under that watch, no? And then you hear that over and over we talk about what constitute and warrant a state of emergency, right? Are we at war,
No,
Mr. Chairman? Are we at
no,
war?
no, sir.
Um, are there any, overthrow of any government?
No, sir.
Are there any grave uh, things that is happening in this
Hurricane,
country that warrants all these states of emergencies that they are imposing?
no massive hurricane, no devastation,
State of yes,
no earthquake,
Lord,
no volcano.
yes.
You know,
These are things that, and it's the Constitution, Mr. Chairman, right? The Constitution, the law of this land clearly states why and how a state of emergency should come about. But past and present government, do they acknowledge that? Do they ever go by our Constitution in terms of when they want to do something? They do it to
they
we
refuse to.
anyway. And Mr. Chairman, I like to enlighten you if you hadn't seen it. The same minister, the deputy prime minister, who has said that it's time for a new identity in this country.
Yes, sir.
The same he spoke on the Emancipation Day. That was yesterday, right?
Uh-huh.
And he spoke against his own party about the state of emergency. He spoke. He's not in favor of it, and he said that is not right, and they need to reconsider. And is it working? We had talked about this before the deputy prime minister. We've been talking about this from day one. But you see, Mr. Chairman, the pressure, public pressure, right? And you see, through our medium, I hope and pray that it's been seen around the world, right? And it's been seen by people who knows right from wrong, and word get around. So he must have heard something and say, well, you know what? I can't go along with this crowd here, I have to say something about it because you know, right? Well, I give kudos to that man, Mr. Chairman. I give kudos to the Deputy Prime Minister, right? Why he did it, why he said it, I could only say, well, like public pressure, right? And so sad, Mr. Chairman, that out of all the states of emergencies that has been imposed upon our people, where South Side, South Side to every time, right? What is happening in the South Side that is not happening in Orange Walk, Corozal, and other part of the country? The drugs is all over, gangs is all over this country, the killings is all over this country. And the thing that really gets me, Mr. Chairman, is that these people have the super majority, man, right? And there are already laws in this country that if you commit a crime, the police come and arrest you, right? So why is it special, so special about the state of emergency? That's as an ex-policeman, I could say this. I see no reason for it, no logic. All I could see is, go ahead, Mr.
Uh,
Chairman.
I won't take long. The question you asked just now, why is it that they're doing what they're doing? For vindictiveness and punitiveness. That's all. Plain, outright, raw vindictiveness and punitiveness. They have no reason for it because the people that are committing the crimes, they don't go after them under the normal law and get them as they're supposed to do. And the SOE, they still don't go after the big guys and get them. They have them in at the LIU
They go to
and
they
the
arrest the
favorite ones then when
13
they
year
catch.
old. Right. They are gonna arrest the 13-year-old and left all the big criminals out there. For instance, the people who we elect or who we hire to protect and serve us. A lot of criminal act has been committed by these very same people, right? They hide behind the uniform. They hide behind the name, heads of department. They hide behind the name of a minister,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they are untouchable, but most of them are, anyway, I will not say that word. But like I say, it's time for these people to stop doing this injustice, right? And stop creating havoc because they create more havoc more than anything. Because look what they did, Mr. Chairman, when they go and bust down these doors. They go to these homes, right? I guess maybe they will stop when one of these days, God forbid, they bust down these doors and they meet a barrage of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Some crazy person, I would say, maybe somebody that will not
Shut up.
tolerate it or
Shut
had
up.
had
Shut up.
enough, had have enough.
Tired of your abuse.
You have a couple of incidents that they bust down the doors that over and over the same door. This guy said, oh, it's like the seventh time that they broke down the door. And for what? Look what the subject innocent kids do. Kids that have nothing to do with whatever the system is doing, but they are being, subject to this kind of treatment. How they treat these people when they broke down their door. How they talk to these females, right? These policemen, they have no shame. The things that comes out of their mouth, right? Say telling these females these things, right? And the pistol whipping and the gun in people's face. Come on, man. And for what, Mr. Chairman? That's the thing, right? You hear the leader of this country, Mr. Bisenio. Oh man, and nothing, we just send them back there for go cool off for 30 days. Because they a little turf war and then most of the things the man said are for drugs. Say most of these crimes instead of drugs. Man, what happened to the innocent people
Well,
that's been murdered?
Mr. Wade, he should know when he's talking about it's because of drugs.
There you go.
I wouldn't go any
There you
further.
go. We're not gonna go there,
Yeah,
right?
there's no need.
But what I'm
Gratuitously,
saying,
there's no
right,
need to be
Mr.
gratuitous.
Chairman, the way these people take these things, man, right, like it's nothing.
Criminals.
The amount of lives lost, Mr. Chairman, every week
Mhm.
before state of emergency, Mr. Chairman, and my people at home and abroad, crimes and violence, they happen before state of emergency, man, and we already have laws in this country that should arrest these people and charge them. Why these extra measures that is not necessary, unlawful, contravening our constitution, right? And when people come out, Mr. Chairman, and says, that they will hold them accountable for what they did to them because of the bogus state of emergency and the treatment. You know what they do, Mr. Chairman? They call them one side and offer them bribery.
Mhm.
Not here without no put this thing forward, man. No get nobody, call a little prop, one little lanya, one little lot, right? Or and give you so much money. Right? It's public knowledge. The lady came forward and says that, and that is only one person that came forward. Many, many more that they do that too, right? Just for them, Mr. Chairman, not to go to court. More publicity, right? So I urge, I'll say this and I'll pass it over back, Mr. I call on all these people, all these victims, from this bogus SOEs and previous injustice that had happened to you. Consult an attorney, hold these people accountable for what they have done to you wrongfully, take them to court, and let's see if the magistrate or the judge will uphold the law, uphold the constitution, and give you justice. That's what I got to say on that. These kinds of action got to stop. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. Uh, I just want to go to Section 6 of the Constitution. And I would like to read a short portion of it here. Section 6, subsection 1. It says, all persons, when it says all, it means all. It doesn't mean Mr. Budna alone or the gentleman who assaulted. It don't mean the police commissioner alone or his child that was almost made a victim or the person who they allege had committed that crime.
Not, Mr. Chairman, just I want to say
Go
quickly
ahead, sir.
before I go. You know what?
Go ahead.
If these people and media and everybody didn't get involved with that 13-year-old, he'd have still been in jail.
Mhm.
Back to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
That's the truth. Well spoken, sir. And thanks again for bringing it forward again. Because we need to stay on top of those things, and we need to keep the advocacy going, and we need to make sure that the money when them people is sent from abroad to help us out, that because the people in here with dire straits, then here we messed up situation. America is trying to express its friendship to Belize by providing some funds to help Belize deal with the problems that we have in the country. But just like how America could be free friend and try to give us some money to help with free problems, America also, in its own interest, would expect that when Belize turn to act as a friend to America, they will reciprocate. Because that is part of what foreign funding is all about, or foreign assistance is all about. It's about paying it forward, paying it now, and accruing that payment in the future for return favors. It is laudable that these people are trying to be helpful to us because they don't have to. But then we get those monies for poverty alleviation, hundreds of millions, by the way. Okay? They say it's 250 million. That is more. For example, in the regular budget, we had money set aside for poverty alleviation, right? But nothing in that number. So how much better now can they perform? How much better can they do for people who are in dire straits with all this extra money? Even if they not put all of it towards that particular purpose. How much more better off should our people be? But that money is going to get collected and repurposed and spent on the things that the money in the budget that was supposed to cover, that money in the budget is going to get changed around as well and repurposed because they have new money now to cover those particular items. And they've been doing that over and over and over every year. Like I said, $700 million for this year alone, and the year not finished yet. How much more the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that? How much
What do
over
we
the
have to
last
show?
4 years?
What do we have to show, Mr. Chairman? What do we have to show?
And that is extra money in addition to the regular budget I'm talking about. Every year we budget is about $2 to $3 billion, right? So if you have every year $2 to $3 billion, let's call it $2.5 billion rounded off per year. To answer your question that you just posed, Mr. Wade, plus our 500 million. Now we know that it's 700 million before the year is up, but let's cut it back to 500 million per year. $500 million is half a billion, right? So you put that half a billion on top of the 2.5 where we rounded down just now for 4 years. That's 3 times 4. That's $12 billion. Mr. Wade, and since QP got into office until now, the smallest amount of money you could say has gone through their hands or has been expended or being afforded to help with the country management has been about $12 billion. We could carry higher than that if we round off the numbers them correctly or the way they
Mr.
really
Chairman,
are.
$757 million so far,
And the year not finished.
and the year not finished. That's
But
$3.5 million per day, Mr. Chairman. $3.5 million per day.
But I'm going a little further than that. I'm trying to show you how these jackals think that they're supposed to be so smart that nobody else can understand and know what they're doing
Exactly.
and can't see what they happen. I take that $700 million, like I said just now, which is what we reported,
757.
and I cut it down to 500, Mr. Wade, and I call that 500 for the whole year. So for all intents and purposes, I'm saying that if you go for the full year, you'll be close to $1 billion or more, because we had a show before where we had calculated it was going to be about $1.5 billion by the time the year was up. Okay, but we just want to call it $500 million for right now. We want to make the number as small as is realistically plausible and feasible. So we're going to cut down what we don't know exists as of right now, back down to less than where we don't know is reported. And 700 I had, instead of go to the billion as a round up number to finish off the year, we can cut back the 700 million to 500 million. As a rounded number per annum. So with the 4 years, 4 times 5 is 20. We got $2 billion there. Plus let's say we have $2.5 billion every year for a budget. We know that it's more than that, but we're just using small numbers for people to get the idea. Okay, $4.5 billion. I mean, $2.5 billion times four is how much? 10 billion, right? 10 billion plus through a regular budget plus the 2 billion extras, like we were saying, per year. Let's go back to the same original number where I quoted earlier when I said about $12 billion. And we damn well know it's more than that because the numbers that we are using just, for personal calculation is less than what we know the facts to be.
Mr. Chairman, and that's not the money, free money they get, Mr. Chairman. That's not all the grants that they are getting.
No, no.
That doesn't include all the grants that comes from outside entity to this country in the name of the Belizean people. And what do we have to show up for it, Mr. Chairman?
In a one term, the man and done have available to them expended $12 billion. How much better off we country could have been if them man really honest? I don't know. I'm going to try to use a different word other than just honest, because
Oh man.
no, no, no.
Uh,
Mr. Weird, I explained something on this program, right? So those who hear our program will get a general idea about issues that even one prime minister and his financial advisors, Mr. Wade and Mr.
no weird, Leonard. Wait.
Wade, yeah, that's what I said.
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Wade. Sorry, no, I didn't say
You
Wade.
frightened me.
I
You
said it correct.
frightened me.
No, because I bring up the name too quickly for you. But anyhow,
Yes,
and
I,
Mr.
yes,
Koi
yes, yeah.
and Ms. Garcia and the whole crew. I don't think these people really understand and realize that there's a thing named forensic audit. And you can go back over just about any economic numbers, budgetary numbers, feasibility analysis numbers, or actual expenditures. And you can do what you call a forensic audit of all those numbers and all those monies. Then, Mr. Coy know that as an accountant or somebody who deals with finances. I don't think the Prime Minister know that. But for Mr.
I,
Koi's information,
I have
and I
been
don't think
calling
he
for
will,
one of that up
what
here
I
in
don't
the
think he really
in
understand
the
and know.
Santa Elena Town Council, San Ignacio Town Council. I
Mhm.
call for a forensic audit right now.
Yeah.
Been calling for it. They are afraid of that.
Uh-huh. So what I want to say is that I don't think these people understand that while they realize that forensic audit is something plausible, I don't think they really understand that forensic audit can be done remotely. I don't know if they believe that or understand that is plausible. But I'll go one step further and just doing a remote audit, okay, which can be done from any part of the world, from any other part of the world, okay. There are a lot of institutions who have had bugs planted in their systems, in their computer systems, and the whole of their database has been compromised and or been captured by outside entities. I don't think that is a strange concept for them to think about and understand and realize. That is to say, every keystroke that is typed in on a computer is registered somewhere else other than just in that computer itself. Do these people really understand that? every key stroke that their employees are logging into their system to do their budgetary calculations, to produce their, you know, interdepartment memos or financial reports before it gets to the head of the department for them to submit it to their ministers. There are other people outside of we country who know exactly what has transpired because all those keystrokes have been logged in overseas computers that are connected on the internet. Do you think these people understand that or know the consequence of what is it I'm trying to imply to them? They are not the only one who know their business then, is what I'm trying to say to them and to you right here. They might think that they're the only one who knows what they discuss in cabinet. And as I've told them before, under the Barrow government before too, that everything I talk about in cabinet is logged in other sources. They might think it's a private meeting in cabinet, and it's only among themselves that they're having that discussion, and only they know what goes on in there. But just like I explained with the forensic audit, remote forensic audit, they don't know what's happening because they are naive about how the rest of the world operates. I don't think Mr. Belizean have the slightest idea how I was able to tell him that he was going to need $250 million, where he could go and get $250 million before he decided to read his budget, before he put his budget together. I sent him a letter within less than a month of him getting elected. And in that letter, I was telling him we had to go find $250 million to help the country's budget. It took him another few months before he get to finishing up his budget and read it, declaring that he needed $240 million to balance the budget. He has no idea how other people outside of his government and outside of the country could know everything that's going on inside of his department and could preemptively give him advice as to what he's going to need and how to go about getting it. He had no appreciation for such an effort. As a matter of fact, I did not even get an acknowledgement that he had received my letter to start with. That's how petty and puny these small-minded people are. You're trying to be helpful to them. You're trying to use the resources available that should be available to them, and you know they don't have it. But of course, it's my country. So I avail them of my resources. Mr. Wade, these people in the finance department of our country have no knowledge that their finances is being remotely audited. They don't understand that. They could never conceive of those concepts or possibilities. Other people outside of we country know these things, but they don't have to go and tell we government whether they know or whether they don't know. Then they offer the help because they say what we need the help. Then here we on this program and other people on other programs and on news complaining about the dire straits of the country they're in. They have their own agents in a we country that are doing their annual reports. So they know what's going on in we country. While we government pretend like, well, only if we government know what's going on in a we country. And people are trying to be helpful to us. But anyhow, I'll leave that part for right now because it's not germane to their understanding and or to the point, no? other than the fact that then playing with free budget, then disappearing money out of free budget. The present prime minister told the previous prime minister, bring back some of the money, we won't care. That's what he was referring to. The wholesale dispossession of our budget funding that was not adequately spent, even though it was appropriated. And it never gone back into free treasury, and the money stayed abroad. Okay? You want to tell me he never learned nothing from that? But he was able to be in a position to tell his one boss, bring back some of the money when they care? What the hell he may get if you know that? He know me and get up and say that to feed him boss. Remember the G7? Does he forget where I get that information from for the G7? Is he that naive that way back then, outside sources was able to provide him and others with the kind of information they may need to raise hell against Mr. Musa? And those same outside people are incapable of providing other people in the country the information to show how treacherous and devious and conniving he is, and the other cabals that are backing him up and aiding and abetting him with his unconstitutional conduct. I yield back for a second, Mr. Hill.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My people, this is no news to the general public. Past government cry broke. This one come as an opposition. Well, we can do better. When we come in, we don't cry broke. We make sure that everything all right. Then when you come, cry broke too, right? And we just told you the amount of money they had squandered so far, and the year not finished yet. And how long they in a term, right? The past one that left us partly in this position that we are in, they are responsible also. They, on the end, he was borrowing $1 million a day. Came from his very own mouth. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to borrow $1 million a day. Right? What that is telling you, man? This person who you elect to protect and serve you, that's what he's telling you. Huh? This one, no different. Right? All this money. They read the budget, they say this goes to that, that goes to this, and this goes to that, this amount go here, this amount go here, and then they compile, and this is the amount they want from the Belizean people, the Belizean purse, right? And so sad, this budget that they read, well, let's take, for instance, healthcare, so much going for Tylenol, so much going for bandages, so much going for salaries, so much going for this, so much going for that, so much going for everything that the hospital, pretty much whatever the hospital needs. But yet, there is no supplies at times. But yet they already read about, they already got hundreds of thousands of dollars, to get these same items that they do not have. So where is the money?
Good question.
So where is the money? And it's a repetition cycle, Mr. Chairman, right? Every budget reading, and you say they come for supplementary, right?
That's his
we never we may want X, Y, and Z for Carl Hushner, but we never may say we may need a CT scan, so we need so much more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened. And then we're not going to CT scan it, but then it still needs so much more money for the same CT scan. 3 times in a row, Mr. Chairman. Who watching these? Who policing the police?
Because then 3 times when I'm going to try to pull up their pants.
You understand what I'm saying? And we've been telling them, right? Stop lying to the people, come clean. And we continue to say it. And yet we have people out here, what's money, Mr. Chairman, these are the things that hurts me. They get grants to help alleviate poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Help alleviate poverty. There was a gentleman in the north, in this prime minister area and the minister of health, who all called Houston $10,000 for heart
I
surgery.
remember the I
Public
remember the
knowledge,
case.
and I said,
I remember
right?
the case. We heard it
Huh?
a few days ago.
And free NHI, right? Free, right? I just said free NHI. You know, so much money. You mean they couldn't offset that man $10,000? He cannot pay it. So when they do lock and down, what they do now, make it stop eat? Huh? Man, come on, man. These are the things that you get grants from and to help, right? To help. Where is all this money? And Mr. Chairman,
Hundreds
we,
of
we could
millions
go
of
back.
dollars. Hundreds
We
of
could go
millions.
back for decades. The amount of money and the poverty gone anyway. You walk on any street corner, most of the families in this country are below the poverty. Below, right?
60 odd percent. Mr. Wade.
What are these people doing with all this money that they are getting? Free money to help, not the UDP party, not the PUP party, help the poor people of Belize. See what they do with this money. They use it, they squander it, they find a way. You see that man that in charge of our finance, and the man that next door that in charge of the books, Mr. Chairman.
Mhm.
I would like to ask a question to the general public, both at home and abroad. If that man, Mr. Waite, should leave office, would he leave that book? That Bible that he carries around? Prime Minister gets so much, Mr. Minister gets so much, this one gets so much, that one Guyana deposit so much in the bank for that one, and so much in this bank. Will he leave that book, that Bible, for the next person that will sit? Or God forbid he dies tomorrow? I'm just saying, right?
Mr. Chairman.
Where is that
Sorry,
book?
sorry. Mr.
It's
Chairman.
my Mr. Chairman, this is I
Sorry,
try to
sorry.
break it down as small as I can to my Belizean people who think
Okay.
about these things. When you there and they can't buy ramen, when you there they can't. These people is squander on the money. When you can't pay on the light, when you got a job, when you all that money where this country may get for try help right? Electrify the villages and do all the other necessities that you need to live. These hyenas, these suckers, find a way to embezzle
I have a quick
your
question,
money.
Mr. Wade. I have a
So
quick question.
sad.
Did not this gentleman, that is our current financial secretary, did not he work for the previous administration?
Amen to that. Amen to that.
So he knows where skeletons are in both administration. But did he not
Exactly.
work for the previous administration before that one?
Exactly.
Wait, wait, wait,
And
wait,
Mr.
wait,
Chairman, I say
wait, wait,
this.
wait.
Go
Did he
ahead.
not work for the president? Is he not currently working for the present one? Did he not work for the previous one? And the previous one before that previous one as well. So he have the books on all of them.
Amen to that,
And we
Mr.
Belizeans just really
Chairman.
sit down and suck with finger.
And I
We
just
pretend
say
like nothing
this
to
to
go on.
say, Mr.
Crazy,
Chairman,
man.
there are grave injustice, there are grave misuse of the people's purse. Grave, not minor little thing. Grave. Open your eyes, my people. Open your eyes. That's all I got to say. And on that note, Mr. Chairman, I call on him when you leave office, God forbid, because tomorrow is promised to no one. Please leave that book so the public could know what's inside that book. And remember, Mr. Witt, you have not worked for UDP, no, you not work for PUP. You work for the people and the nation of this country. They're the one that is paying you.
But he is beholden to who have him hired.
Exactly.
He's beholden to who have him hired.
So sad.
And for
So
him to
my
gain access,
people, Mr.
sorry,
Chairman,
go
so
ahead,
my
go ahead.
people when you go to the hospital, public hospital, you can get whatever little treatment you need, and then you have to come out and put up on a land, put up on a house, make a big loan to get basic treatment that you need. Think about this, what we are saying, right? Think about it. They are not putting the money where it should go to
I just want to
every
read a
time.
yes, sir,
Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you very much, Mr. Wade. I just want to read this section 6 of the Constitution, subsection 1. All persons are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to the equal protection of the law. Did our scofflaw government afford Mr. Budna his equal protection under the law so that he could have pursued his claim for being assaulted? No. Instead, they gave preference to the person who assaulted him and tried to sweep his assault under the rug by disabling Mr. Budna, by collecting him and infringing on his freedom to be able to move around and go and file his claim. He was arrested and taken to the courts and put through the ringers. Is there anyone that's looking after Mr. Budna's interests? The government or even any private individual who can step in the breach and give the man some assistance?
Well, he was released today. Some good attorney, I presume,
Well,
get a hold of his situation and help him out.
what they're doing is besmirching the gentleman and put him into the police records so that he ever needs to go abroad or that he ever ends up in any other kind of problem, he has a larger baggage to carry. That's all they're doing. Victimizing the gentleman, disable his ability to be able to pursue redress, and God forbid that he would have been the person doing that assault. But right now he would have been spending at least the beginning of 3 years in jail.
Truth on that.
Where is the justice? Equal justice under the law, as is stated here in our Constitution. If any person is charged with a criminal offense, then, unless the charge is withdrawn, the case shall be afforded a fair hearing within a reasonable time by an independent and impartial court established by law. Subsection 3 reads as follows. Every person who is charged with a criminal offense under paragraph A says shall be presumed to be innocent until he is provided or
Until it's proven guilty.
until he is proven guilty. B shall be informed as soon as reasonably practical in a language that he understands of the nature and particulars of the offense is being charged. C shall be given adequate time and facilities for the preparation of his defense. D shall be permitted to defend himself before the court in person or at his own expense by a legal practitioner or of his own choice. And E, shall be afforded facilities to examine in person or by his legal representative the witnesses called by the prosecution before the court and to obtain the attendance and carry out the examination of witnesses to testify on his behalf before the court on the same conditions as those applying to witnesses called by the prosecution. And finally, F, shall be permitted to have without payment the assistance of an interpreter, if he cannot understand the language used at the trial. And except with his own consent, the trial shall not take place in his absence unless he so conducts himself, that is, he's too rowdy for the court, as to render the continuance of the proceedings in his presence impracticable, and the court has ordered him to be removed and the trial to proceed in his absence. Provided that the trial may take place in his absence, in any case in which it is proven or provided by a law under which he is entitled to adequate notice of the charge and the date, time, and place of the trial, and to a reasonable opportunity of appearing before the court. There's quite a bit more on that particular section there. I don't want to read any more of it. It's very lengthy. I just want to go to 7. Protection from inhumane treatment. Section 7 of the Belize Constitution reads as follows. No person shall be subjected to torture or to inhumane or degrading punishment or other treatment.
All these things always forgets that.
Such as we witnessed the other day with that police officer pistol whipping that gentleman when there was no cause. Section 8 of the Constitution, protection from slavery and forced labor. No person shall be held in slavery or servitude. No person shall be required to perform forced labor. And finally, section 8, subsection 3 reads as follows. For the purposes of this section, the expression forced labor does not include A, any labor required in consequence of sentence or order of a court. I want to read another part here quickly. Section 9. We're getting close to the expiration of our time, so that's why I keep looking at my time there. I'll come to you right now, Mr. Wade. I just want to finish with this little part. Section 9 of the Constitution of Belize, subsection 1 reads as follows. Except with his own consent, a person or any person shall not be subjected to the search of his person or his property or the entry by others on his premise. And yet, you say, as you mentioned earlier, you got these Gestapo stormtroopers pretending that they have a right to violate the Constitution and go ahead and beat people door down repeatedly. And even if they were to break down people door in the case of an emergency of somebody having committed a major crime like killing somebody else and the law is pursuing them, and the person run in and close the door behind them and then kick down the door, knock down the door, because the person don't want to give up or whatever, that door should be repaired at government expense. So when they start paying for the expense of the damage they do, they want to stop or they want to do less damage. Because that money they come out of the police department budget, and then some of them don't have enough money in the budget to get their salary because the budget is limited. That's part of the way to deal with this craziness. Because when some police can't get paid because others they misuse the money, they broke down people door and then they have to pay. No, but they don't make it like that. They make it so that when they go and broke down people door, they can walk away and pretend like, well, it's no big deal. Fix it if you want, and if you don't want, fix it, live out in the open. And that's contrary to the requirements of the Constitution. The government must make policies of state that accrues to the well-being, protection, and safety of the people. I yield back to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
Quickly, um, I would just like to put this out there to some may know or some may not know. Not too long ago, Mr. Chairman, this man Courtney passed a motion in the House. I mean, they right, so that they would have come up with a legal aid office
Mm-hmm.
where your tax dollars was gonna pay was your not Courtney money, not the PUP money, your tax dollars was going to pay for a legal aid office in Belize City. Now, who does not, for who do not know what a legal aid so it is, if you have a problem that you need to go to court, right, and you cannot afford an attorney, you go to that legal aid office and solicit and get some help. It's been paid for by the taxpayers of this country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for you. So please find out more about it because I know there's a lot of injustice done. And because you can't afford an attorney and just make it slide. And then the person involved feel like a big man, Mr. Chairman, because the person okay on a court. Right? Why? Because that person never have the money to get an attorney and take them to court, right? So, my people, explore that. Find out the same people that can ask for a vote, this on a representative, because then come back again soon. Ask them about it. They should be able to tell you which street is on and who to go see for at the legal aid office for those who are seeking justice and do not have the money to solicit an attorney. We have that office already paid for by the taxpayers of this country. Okay? And on that note, Mr. Chairman, we are about nearly out of time. I'll yield back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll just try and read another little part here of the Constitution. I keep reading these things because people need to be able to understand, first of all, know and understand how the Constitution fits into your daily lives. Because the government is not affording us the opportunity to have them operate as a bona fide, legitimate government with goodwill towards the population. They hijack with powers and use it for their own personal aggrandizement and personal use instead of using it as it was designed to govern us and to give us better governance. Belize Constitution, Part 2, Section 10 reads as follows: a person shall not be deprived of his freedom of movement, that is to say, the right to move freely throughout Belize, the right to reside in any part of Belize, and the right to enter Belize, and the right to leave Belize, and immunity from expulsion from Belize. That is that once you're in Belize, if you're a born Belizean, you can't stop you from leaving. You can't stop you from moving any part of the country from one part to the next. You can't stop you from coming in. They can't stop it for any of the things them that these autocrats, lawbreakers, deviants keep trying to do, which is why they put this SOE in place. Because now, under the SOE, the pretense is that the SOE stop you from going from one area, wherever they put the SOE, into the other areas, or from coming from the other areas into where the SOE. Because under the SOE, if you live outside of the SOE area, you don't want to come and subject yourself in the area where the SOE is. So you're going to stay out of that area. So for all intents and purposes, it's about, like I said earlier when you asked the question, Mr. Wade, gratuitous victimization of people. That people don't got nothing to do with the crimes that they're trying to put a bogus SOE in place to stop, and has not stopped, and will not stop. Those people have nothing to do with that. So why subject them to an unconstitutional and bogus SOE? And then have the police officers operating as if they are operating under adequate and proper or legal lawfulness. They're just misusing and abusing the power that is vested in the authority of policing to do mischief making and cause unnecessary harm to people. Has any of them put an SOE in the area that affect them personally? As a matter of fact, they are immune from that because they can go and come from anywhere. In other words, the Constitution is valid for them, but it's derogated and repressive when it comes to us. Because they have their drivers, they as ministers are afforded the privileges that the Constitution affords to all of us. But they try to create other law. Remember when I talk about those other laws? Those are what you call substantive laws that the legislator is empowered to make. And if they make those laws, and those laws are within the bounds of the Constitution, they are legitimate and valid law. The court should uphold them. But if those laws are made in a way that is inconsistent with the Constitution, they are violative of the Constitution, and therefore, as the Constitution itself speaks to those issues and says they are null and void. And yet they are victimizing people with those laws. Why? Because the people don't have money and can't afford to take the matter to court and have themselves vindicated. So you have a lot of people sit down in jail until they get a chance to come to the court, only for the court to rule that they're
Their
innocent
rights have
and
been
or
violated. Yeah.
that they need, they can't give them back the time that they had them sitting down in jail, but to be vindicated and be told that your rights was tampered with. And the lawyers, they get the people them off. But who gives those people back the time that they lost while they were in jail? Who give them back the job that they lost while they were in jail? Who give them back the money that they lost while they were in jail? Some of them lose their house, they lose their job, they lose their house, they lose their vehicles, they lose material things, they lose their family because maybe the family depend on them for an income, and they are sitting in jail now, can't provide an income or means for the family to subsist. So the family suffer too. Innocent little kids are made victim of those same criminal conduct on the part of the scofflaw legislators and government officials. There's much more, but we're running out of time, so I just want to go into the summary of what is it that we spoke about tonight, and ask for you to give a closing thought, Mr. Wade.
Thank you.
Take 2 or 3 minutes and summarize your closing thoughts, that you'd like to leave with the public for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
I just hope that, you know, this program, for listeners, viewers, take away something. And I have always said on your constitutional nights here, Mr. Chairman, that, get a copy of the Constitution, right? Know your rights. They said they were gonna educate you about your rights, right? I asked the question, did they?
No,
And I say
no,
this to say that the whole constitution reform exercise,
just a joke.
it, it's bogus. Like you said, Mr. Chairman, it's a joke, right? Because at the end of the day, they will do what they want to do, right? But they're only using the people say, we had consulted. They even went to the diaspora, right, to say they consulted, and then they were going to say, well, these people have spoken, which is a darn lie, right? So I say this to say that I asked the prime minister to let the nation know, let the people know what he intends to do with our constitution, with the law of this land, whether you want to flush the entire law of this land, the entire constitution, or whether you want to add something to it and what you are going to add to it. Please let us know, or you want to take away something from our constitution. Please let the people know, and the way you do that is by referendum, right? And ask the people if it's okay for you to do it, because that's the right way to do. My people, they should come to you for a referendum and said, vote yes or no if you want we to flush your constitution. Yes or no, or yes or no if you want us to add whatever. But they need your permission, right? So what are these people doing, Mr. Chairman? I just hope and pray that their intention and their mission will would fail at the end of the day. They, I hope and pray that whatever they want to do with our constitution, they do not get that liberty to do it at the end of the day. Back to you, Mr. Chairman. I'll
Thank you
yield
very
back
much.
to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for your eloquent contribution and your passion and concern, sir. I would like to add, for my closing as well, that currently the Constitution allows the government of the day to make modifications, alterations, additions, or subtractions from the current Constitution within the bounds of the intent of the Constitution. That is to say, they're awarded and allowed the privilege for executive management purposes in running the country, for them to make rules and regulations, SIs, statutory instruments, for example, policies of state, for example, a whole wide range of possibilities. But they're not interested in any of that because they keep doing all those things anyhow, and have been doing it from the time the country became independent. And even though they have the PCC in place, and they said they couldn't abide by the law because they had the PCC in place, then they should have stayed home. But they don't stay home, they keep making more laws and laws and laws. So they keep lying and act as scofflaws when it's convenient for them. But what they're really after is not to use the powers that is currently vested in them to do the things that they are currently allowed to do. What they are trying to do is to get the Belizean public to commit sedition on their behalf and claim that it is the Belizean people that wish to commit that sedition, not them, the politicians. Okay?
True on that.
That's how much of a cowards they are. They're not revolutionary in the sense that they're willing to jump at the front of the revolution and lead the revolution into what is it that they're trying to achieve. They're trying to hide behind the fractale of the Belizean people, who they keep in ignorance, have promised to educate them about the Constitution, so that those educated Belizeans then would be in a position to help them overthrow the present Constitution, which they are not currently empowered to do. And that is the big jinx that they're playing on us, the Belizean people. They are empowered to make and change existing laws within the bounds of the Constitution, not outside. But they want to go outside of the bounds of the present Constitution. If possible, they want to eviscerate the present Constitution, create something that is more pliable for them to run the country, like Mr. Bukele, whom they adore and whom they revere. They think Mr. Bukele is doing pretty good for his country anyhow, and they would like to be in that position. But they fail to remember that we only have one constitution at a time. And unless they can find a way to make our constitution like Mr. Bukele constitution, then they need to go and live with Mr. Bukele if they
They're
so
getting
love.
there, Mr. Chairman. Once
Yes,
they
sir.
turn us into a republic, that's it.
That's what they're after. But they're a bunch of cowards. And enchancy on top of that. But we're at our point of
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
closing. So I just want to make sure that at least for tonight, um, I cut it off at that point, and hopefully we can take it up at another occasion. I want to say thanks to the Belizean people at home and abroad, all of those who sent in their text tonight that we did not respond to because we are not necessarily in the capacity to be able to respond to text while at the same time we are, because what we do on this particular program is to present perspective and whole, like we present a whole show and basically on certain particular perspective or points. And while we are presenting that perspective or point or the program itself, we don't have the ability to have other people in support to enter into these texts and elaborate on these texts while the program is going on. Don't think that we don't appreciate your text or your point or concern, but if we spend the time going back and forth with everybody at text, then the show, you need more time for the show. As you all notice, every time we run over our time, despite the fact that we are not addressing directly these particular points or interacting with the public. We just don't have that capability currently. And we're just trying to do the next best we can. That is to say, educate the people about the serious issues of our constitution that these bamboozlers are trying to use us as sovereign citizens to do for them, to work for them. So thank you very much, Belizeans at home and abroad, again for tuning in to Belizean Affairs show number 176 for Friday, 2nd of August, 2024. And we hope that whatever we are presented here tonight may accrue to some positive public benefit to you, our Belizean people. Thanks very much, Mr. Wade, for sitting in tonight and as one of our panelists,
A
and
pleasure.
your contribution. And I hope the Belizean people appreciate your effort as well. We are beyond our time at this point, so we'll say good night until our
Good
next
night.
program.